Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Nova. I'm the owner of Star Lily Birthing and Star Lily Wellness. A couple of days ago, I just kicked off my channel. And today, what was on my mind was just to explain why this channel and why is it dedicated to birthing, to women's self-care, to men's self-care, to our village, to our community. Why me? Why did I choose to be a healer? Just to give a little of my background, why did I choose to become an instructor of childbirth education? And so on and so forth. Why did I choose to be a midwife? I have been loving the very essence of birth, babies, children, just people, period. If it's something that I can do to assist or to help others, and it's within my means, of course, I'm going to assist. I have 3 children of my own, 2 daughters and a son. And if it weren't for, my community, my village, my family, my people, grandmothers, great-grandmother, my mother, my aunties or what have you, my father, my uncles, I really don't know where I'd be, because they were here to what? Guide us, guide me, guide, nieces and nephews, granddaughters, or what have you in the family. So, I believe back in about 2010 is when I really realized I wanted to commit to this as a profession. And I started with, certain trainings, and came through different spiritual gateways and methodologies, ideologies, with a lot of my foundation, because I've always wondered, or always wanted to know things from a source perspective. So I could even go further back. My foundation was with a school called Council Grove, and it was a woman who came from Korea, and she was a native Korean, and pursued her education in the States. And her name is Dr. Lola Hanson. She's an ancestor now. She's one of my ancestors, because what she did was she came to an urban community. A lot of things where, people's attitudes was just kind of just like, thrown away. Just, eating food in a container, throw it down on the ground, a lot of, confrontational energy, in those days. Latter 70s, 80s, 90s, it was getting worse and worse. But she came there and she started a school, and it was built on what they call the cadre system. And what the cadre system is basically integrative learning, through nature, as well as, the tactiles, things that you can touch and you can solve and you can explore. And the main thing that really was impressed upon me, because I believe I began this school like about 5 or 6 years old, because I always tell people I have a 5th grade education, because once I stopped attending that school and went into the Compton Unified School District, they basically were just passing us along whether we got the concepts or not. So, of course, I don't have a 5th grade education, but that's kind of how I felt, because my experience there at Council Grove was one that was just like, it's unforgettable. Like that, you know, it was like basically going to a university when I was like 5 and 6 years old. So I just remember, you know, what was impressed upon me was the acoustics aspect. And acoustics deals with appreciating other cultures. And that's one of the things that she was very adamant about, because we live in a world with, you know, such diversity, to grow us up learning and appreciating other cultures. So if it, you know, if we weren't making the foods, then a lot of the mothers and fathers who would commit to, you know, donating, they would donate materials, and mothers who could sew, you know, if we were studying Shakespeare or studying any kind of, you know, plays or James Baldwin or what have you, and then we brought that play to life, then the mothers and fathers or whatever, or mothers who could sew, they would sew the costumes, and the fathers would do the backdrops, and, you know, we'd be all involved with, you know, the whole production. When we studied the Kalahari or the Bushmen, you know, we became them. So, you know, the Bushmen, you know, they have ostriches, and they use the ostrich egg, and they, you know, where the ink is derived. We learned about that and learned how to do the ostrich art, and how they were able to, with reeds, go down into the sand and suck up the water from the earth. And so, you know, once, like I said, once I got to, you know, a regular brick and mortar classroom, you know, I never learned. It just wasn't interesting to me, because at that point it seems like I had to be on the defense. And you know, my parents, a lot of the parents of the school, they actually went down to the Compton Unified School District, and, you know, basically was proposing or suggesting that Council Grove's, the cadre system, be integrated into Compton Unified, and they were laughed at. And basically, you know, people that were paying for degrees back then, sitting on the boards, the, you know, the Board of Education, they laughed at our parents and basically told them they need Jesus, and, you know, batted them on the way. But I never will forget Dr. Hanson and my father. A lot of the fathers there, they built the classrooms, the bungalows, and now on Alondra and Wilmington sits, you know, King Drew Head Start now, where Council Grove used to be. Because be it that Dr. Hanson didn't want to ask for tuition, it was a free tuition based, non-tuition based learning situation. She didn't want to receive any payment or whatever towards what they were doing. And it was successful. And then she moved to Culver City. My dad would get up early to get me out there for like 8 o'clock, you know, Compton, Culver City, fighting 405 traffic or whatever. And then I think we did that for about the next year. So by the time I got to 5th grade, yeah, that was history. But I never forgot. So that's basically my my foundation, and of course my family and how I was raised too in metaphysics. My mother is a very spiritual individual, my father as well, and there's a lot of music running through our house, classical, bebop, and everything in between. So, you know, my mother would listen to Bob Dylan and Aretha and, you know, on and on and on. My father would be listening to Thelonious Monk and Bud Powell, and he played the alto sax. My mother played classical piano. She was trained in classical piano in Watts, and they were both from Watts. So a lot of music came out of Watts. A lot of music came from out of Compton as well. And so, you know, more towards present day, of course, I have my experiences and whatnot, and have my children, and, you know, education, loves, relationships, what have you. And so I came upon Ubuntu Birthworkers Collective, it was now. And, you know, that was something that I felt like, okay, you know, I would want to matriculate through, because it was primarily dedicated to women of color because of the biasness and the way that we are treated in the hospitals. Also, you know, since energy can't be created or destroyed, I thought it was necessary too to you know, learn the different aspects of energy, our ritus, our energy centers, or what is popularly known as chakras. And so I came through a Kemetic system for Raseki, and then I matriculated through the Yoni Steam Institute, and got my certifications in all of these different ordinances, these programs. And I became a doula and an energy worker, and I feel like I'm, you know, and then a self-care instructor, and went through my priestess training through the Yoni Steam Institute, and so on and so forth. And I basically combined all of what it was that I learned and I drew from, you know, my parents' energy and just the things that, you know, were instilled in me, and created Star Lily Birthing. And then even prior to that, I started a school. It was a friend of mine back east. We started a school called New Kemet Learning Center, because my children, they attended an African spiritual school in Los Angeles. And so, you know, they learned a lot of the Kemetic foundational and fundamental teachings, you know, about Imhotep and just about all of the contributions of the Nile Valley civilization, and more. So, you know, you would walk into school and it will just blow your mind, like 5 and 6 years old, you know, year-olds are making copies. I mean, the little boy might have been 4 that I saw. And I was just super impressed when I first went to the school, and I was looking for something. I knew I would never be able to find anything remotely close to Council Grove, but I don't know who referred me to the particular school, but it was a village setting. So my son at the time was probably about 3 years old, and then the eldest student there was 82 years old, Mama Estelle. And the founder of the school, he had a system dealing with numbers, and the numbers basically will tell you who you are, or keep you in what we call ma'at, you know, in balance. And it was just a phenomenal experience, because my children were learning how to solve, you know, radicals. And, you know, my daughter was there at the time. I hadn't had my youngest yet. But I contributed a lot to the school as well, as far as, you know, just like pineal gland functionality tests, and just from, you can kind of like tell according to numbers in a child blinking what is happening with the child, you know's behavior or emotionally. And then for, you know, when you start getting into the primary grades and, you know, so-called junior high, and we didn't, you know, acknowledge any of the grades or anything. It was just a village setting, and everybody was there, and, you know, you had certain groups. But if you were showing that promise, or you showing that, you know, that you're advancing, you weren't gonna just be held back as a 4th grader or 6th grader or 8th grader or whatever. Then, you know, they were gonna keep you, you know, keep you going and advancing. You know, they see that you're solving calculus, and you get that, you know, the aspects of calculus, and that's what they're gonna teach you. So it was, I've always been a free spirit. That's another thing that, I will say that I've always been that, since a little girl. And so all these things I basically integrated into my business, Star Lily and Star Lily Wellness. Star Lily Wellness it's my baby that is more focused on the herbal side. I do a lot of custom herbs for people. I do consultations so I can really tap in and just hear where people are at, physically, mentally, spiritually, and if they have any pre-existing conditions. There's things that I know and people that I know, and if I am not on that level or able to commit to to helping that person, then of course I have a circle of people that can assist them. And also I'm an author, and I wrote my first book that is of a series, and I wrote that book dedicated to the power of home birth. And it's one of my first births that I was able to witness and assist with the ushering in of a star seed. And it's a beautiful book, and you can find it at starlilywellness.com. It's a children's book, family book, real short story. Is really sweet. And then also starlilybirthing.com is more dedicated. That's my baby that's dedicated to just primarily the, my birthing work and my students, and our retreat circles, our healing circles with sisters. I teach a class called Awakening the Goddess Within, what we call level 1, where women come in and learn self-care modalities, and such as yoni steaming. Like, we've been doing this, since 2011. It's become more popularized now and more of a trend, and but when we were coming together and doing it, we were embracing more of the healthier aspects, like less of the alcohol, y'all, less of the whatever it is that you're doing, and let's get more into feeding ourselves that electric life, through green juices and fruit juices and what have you, cold pressed juicing and raw foods and lots of water, and glow from within. It's not what you're putting on your skin, it's what you're putting in your mouth, the thoughts that you're thinking or what have you. Okay, so no matter what you're going through, and we still go through things, even myself, with the priestess title or what have you. Even if you're going through challenges, I don't care what it is, financial, love, it could be, you might be losing your house, or, something that is really like affecting you, your foundation or what have you. You still have this spiritual foundation that will carry you through. And that's where we're coming from with Star Lily. And we do the doula support. I teach online classes on Saturdays for my doulas that matriculate through our program. And that's a beautiful thing, because they're not only learning about, what happens with, conception or fertility, or, difficulties with fertility, and the trimesters and postpartum, and being able to support that aspect of pregnancy and birth, and postpartum, but knowing how to actually connect with mom and dad's spirit, mom and partner spirit, what have you, and especially moms, and I say fathers too, because it's like, provided that the two are together, is just as important. His presence be there, and his involvement more than anything in the world. Excuse me. Because this is something that you know, the star seed chose those parents and chose mom's vessel and chose father's energy in order to, you know, send that energy to ignite that egg. So we, you know, it's a lot of things that we cover that a lot of programs, you know, may not. And I, for one, you know, find that it's extremely necessary because we want our mothers to be the best equipped, confident, and understanding what is going on and taking place in their bodies, you know. And even before then, because my program also impresses upon the couples and family planning, self-mastery. You know, we all know that when we get together, you know, we're still finding out about ourselves, a lot about ourselves. And that's why sometimes, you know, people, you know, stay together for many, many years and, you know, do everything as far as the so-called vows are concerned. And then we have some that split. Why? Because within, you know, just within life, we are learning ourselves, you know, learning within ourselves and who we are. That's part of self-mastery. So, you know, we have to explore what our values are. Do we even have any values? Do we know what a value actually is before we come together? Before we actually come together and, you know, come together and procreate. Okay, so it's very important to you know, just be in uh, that understanding that everything around us is energetic based, and to study nature, you know. Okay, sweetie, I'll be right there. And so I just wanted to make this video, and you know, some things later on I might be repeating, but it's okay. But I just felt it necessary to jump back on here because, like I said, it's the ancestors' will, and they are literally pushing me to do this because I do sit on a lot of information I give to my students, but I have not been as inclined to be on, you know, social media as much. I do have an Instagram page, and I, you know, post things, you know, as some things happen or whatever, but I'm not like the super social media type, if you will. So anyway, I'll be back at you with another video, but I did want to give you some histrionics about myself and what inspires me. Okay, what inspired me to become an instructor, practitioner. I also teach practitioner classes too, so that's another thing. I don't want to leave that out. So much love. Have a beautiful Saturday, and see you soon. Peace.